3 races in the books, 3 different winners, and 5 races left this regular season to determine who makes it onto the playoffs to compete for an NFRN Truck Series Championship. Round number 4 starts off right here at Trenton Fairgrounds Raceway for the Trenton 200. Hello again everybody, my name is Colin Denton, on the call today for NFRN Truck Series Racing on RVN. Last race we saw Clinton McComb take Ramco Motorsports to their first victory of the season, which has now been extended to 2 thanks to an Amateur Cup Series victory at April. But this weekend is all about the trucks. Obviously a little bit about the modifieds as well. That's obviously tied to the trucks. We get to see who's going to be the next driver to take home a win and lock themselves into the playoffs. 3 drivers have won, 33 left remain. Let's see who's going to clinch the final 5 spots in the playoff picture. Now there's a lot of different competition going on among these drivers. The point spread is still very thin, but with the lack of races coming in this part of the season, it's going to be very competitive to see who's going to take home a victory, because that might be your only shot into the playoffs. The 4th race of the Truck Series season will take us back over the pond into the United States and over to the East Coast in Trenton, New Jersey, the capital city of the state and located just in between Philadelphia and New York City. It was the site of George Washington's first military victory in 1776 in the Battle of Trenton, and Trenton Fairgrounds Raceway hosted NASCAR kart and USAC races between 1957 and 1979. This is the first time we'd see the new qualifying system, which splits the drivers into 2 groups. Group number 1 starts with Andrew Gorman and Steven Schaff side by side. Isaac Nichols making it 3 wide early on, trying to see if he can contend for the lead, but an accident in the back half of the field as Tristan Ludet and James Johnson, the Open Modified Series winner, make contact and involve a bunch of cars going down into turn number 1. Bring out a caution, bring the field back together, and kind of limit who would be able to have a chance at this one. Jeff Cabico trying to make a late race push past the 15 and the 49. Andrew Gorman would take the victory over Isaac Nichols, and it would be Jeff Cabico taking the final spot in this duel to advance into the next round to see who'd qualify for the main race. And on to duel number 2, we'd see Brandon Figueroa and Ashlyn Boyd side by side with one another. Adam Lewis, who qualified for every race so far this season, really struggling at the very start of this one, running near the rear of the field. And it got pretty spread out as the race progressed. No real issues in this duel. Tanya Breyer trying to make a late race push past William Seaman to see if she could get into the next round. Not going to be able to pull it off as Brandon Figueroa takes the duel. We'd see Donnie Williams, Ashlyn Boyd, Addison Steinbeck, Brett Graham among those top 5 drivers that would be advancing into the next round. And then they'd all come together, those 20 cars, lined up as they finished in the duels, with Gorman on the inside, Figueroa on the outside, 4 wide in the middle of turns 1 and 2 as they really diced for position to try to make the show. Donnie Williams had a great starting spot in this race, but didn't end up that way as he faded to the back very quickly. The field would spread out, and we'd see Andrew Gorman come down to take the checkered flag as they finished pretty much single file in this one. No major accidents past that first one in the first duel. So moving on to the main feature event, Andrew Gorman, Brandon Figueroa, Derek Hamill, Steven Schaff, Isaac Nichols, and Diego Yepes all going to make the show. You can see the rest of the finishing results from these part-timers, at least those that made it into the feature event, and we'll also have the results of those first 2 duels from the 11th place on. A lot of surprises in those, including Adam Lewis and Derek Northrup, both missing out, and they are going to lose their perfect streaks of making races. We are getting ready to go racing. Let's send it down trackside to get the Trenton 200 fired up.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome Chief Master Sergeant Roddy Martin from Scott Air Force Base.
Drivers, start your engine!
All right, let's go ahead and crank it up there.
Trenton is the place to be to see some stock trucks beating and banging for a victory today. Now let's take you through the starting lineup to see where everyone will stack up. Starting on the front row, Jim Fowler in the number 72 Taco John's Ford F-150 is on the pole. He's 33rd in points right now and trying to see what he can do to make that go back up. And Josh McCoy in the number 34, Burger King Toyota Tundra on the outside pole. Had a great rebound after a poor Pikes Peak race. On row number 2 is Steven Schaff, the highest part-timer in this race and making his debut today. And Mike Simpson, the Pikes Peak winner. In row number 3 is Dalton Wise in the number 77 Chevrolet. And Andrew Gorman making his first start in his debut in the league. Row number 4 has the Montana driver Steve Ray and Kevin Knight, who's currently runner-up in points. Row number 5 has a pair of drivers that are bottom 5 in the full-time standings, Benny Seitzer and Jason Langley. You can find another one of those guys in row 6 with Emerson Sims, next to Keith Young looking for a finish better than 20th. In row number 7 is Jesse McConnell, who slipped every race this year and looking for a rebound, alongside Trevor Nix, who got his season-best 6th place at Twin Ring. In row number 8, Hunter Cox looking to pounce on the points leader, Tyler Reed, right next to him. In row number 9 is Billy Thompson, who tumbled in standings last race after a poor finish, and Aaron Dumati, who's from nearby Delaware. And in the 10th row, Columbia winner Barry Watson, and Robbie Bell, who got a season-best 7th at Twin Ring last race. 3 winners determined so far this season. Looking for a 4th, Clint McComb there in 22nd place, trying to see if he can go back-to-back and gain some extra playoff points to start off the chase. Everyone else, though, in this back part of the field would love to see a victory, but it's going to be difficult with this awkward layout, the kidney bean-shaped racetrack, and the kink in the backstretch. It's going to make it hard for drivers to get a passing opportunity in some parts of the racetrack. That's definitely not going to stop them. They're going to see what they can do to find their way to the front, but obviously those who qualified well and have the best opportunities to start off the race. We've entered the front stretch once again, the 72 and the 34, leading all the 42 trucks back to the start-finish line. Pace truck pulls off and the green flag flies, racing here at Trenton. The pack is scattered, but the lead has been established. The 72 able to use the inside line in turns 1 and 2 to get his way out in front of the 34. He'll lead the first lap and get some bonus points, much needed for a driver that's been outside the top 30 coming into this race. Going to see if he can hold off the rest of the field for another 26 laps. Josh McCoy doing a lot better in the standings. He's currently 6th and made a good jump last race, but obviously these drivers don't feel safe, considering there's only 8 opportunities to point your way into the chase with a victory. The opportunities are limited, and it seems like it could be filled with all winners and no one left on points. So everyone wants to go for the win if they can. And he'll have to track down 72 to do that. We are on board Benny Seitzer, having a really poor start to his season, but he had a great qualifying run today. Currently inside the top 10, we're looking on board him as he takes us around this racetrack. And we'll be on this right-hander right here. That's the kidney bean turn that's giving people a lot of problems in passing opportunities going into turn number 3. Passes can be made there, but it's much more difficult because drivers can have that inside line to take away the advantage gained from the inside of turn 1 and 2. And we see Tyler Reed back here a little bit further in the pack as he's trying to work his way on the outside line, but he's on the outside at 3 wide, getting himself out of the groove. This is not going to be a good run for him if he's going to be staying up there for the next few laps. Currently 19th on the board. The current points leader trying to see what he can do to maintain the lead. He would be in that points position if he had to, but he's got to keep himself there, and he's just really getting out of line, trying to see if he can fight his way back into the gray area. Actually got a nice bit of momentum there against the 90 truck. And might be able to beat him out if he can get down into the corner, but he's going to have some traffic alongside him. Clint McComb, our last race winner, also working the mid part of the pack. He pointed his way into the top 10 in standings after his victory. And he's got his playoff berth set alongside Barry Watson, who got his win at Columbia. So a couple winners there in the mid part of the field. Watson had the points lead after Pikes Peak, but a very poor twin ring knocked him back down the standings a little bit, not too far. That gave Reed the points lead. Kevin Knight currently in second place in points. If anyone were to open up a spot for him in points, he'd be in the position now, trying to see if he can keep himself consistent and stay in that spot. Meanwhile, Adam Kuhn, all the way at the rear of the field, and this is a bit surprising considering this was a driver that really had an opportunity to win the race, the opening race of the season. And since then, it's really gone downhill for him as he finished 12th at Pikes Peak, which wasn't terrible, but Twin Ring 27th, a bit more of a disappointment, and now all the way at the rear of the field. It's going to be a big disaster for Kuhn if he can't point his way into victory lane. And he's probably wishing he had the race at Columbia back, because obviously Barry Watson took the slingshot and got a big run off of it and pointed his way into the playoffs because of it. The Idaho driver trying to see what he can do now to pull himself back to a second victory and gain an advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Hunter Cox on the outside of him as they go through turns 3 and 4. See this shot all the way down the front stretch and almost single file, but a little bit more racing in the back part of the field right now. Cox working the top side of the standings. Eagle Motorsport has been successful with Kenny Knox in the Amateur Cup Series, and now the other 76 driver trying to see if he can put up some similar results. We mentioned drivers that are kind of in the back part of the standings. Emerson Sims, 41st in points, but having a really solid day to start off right now, and he's 9th heading into lap number 9. They're going to have to make some pit stops at some point in this race, a little bit more toward the back half of the laps, but currently looking pretty solid. Could be on pace to put up a solid performance, as they're still 3 wide back here further in the field. This is more toward the rear, and Parsons goes around. 2 other cars collected, Derek Anderline, Derek Hamill, and they're on the inside of the racetrack. The caution is not flown. And these drivers are going to be in a deep situation right here as the green flag stays out. And for Parsons, that's very disappointing. Western Motorsport's doing really well in standings to start off this season. Derek Anderline getting spun around as well. And then the part-timer Derek Hamill involved. Some contacts coming off of turn number 2 there. And it looks like they're all going to get away with minimal damage, but they're also going to lose the draft of the front pack. Let's see what happened here. And it looks like Hamill might have made contact with Parsons on the exit of the corner, and Anderline was just on the bottom of both of them. Adam Kuhn also gets some contact there as he spins the 3 trucks around and drives away without getting into the grass. But no caution flag flies as a result of that one. A big disappointment for 3 drivers who look like they have little chance unless a caution comes out. Heading to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Truck Series action at Trenton.
So, Mobile One annual protection protects for 20,000 miles?
Yes, it's been proven.
Yeah, and it works in any vehicle.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And so are you. No, seriously, I think you're a good person. I respect you. You're my best friend. I want to hang out more. I'm sorry.
20,000 miles between oil changes guaranteed. Mobile One annual protection. Available at these locations.
Back at Trenton Fairgrounds Raceway. A little bit under the radar because we were looking at the accident, but during the last replay, Jim Fowler had a little bit of competition from Josh McCoy. He took a look to his inside. Unfortunately, though, in that kidney bean turn, McCoy lost the advantage that he had on Fowler. 72 continues to retain the lead, but it does show that drivers are starting to get a little antsy and trying to look for position as we're about to hit the halfway point of the race. looking on board Essentia as the competition throughout the pack remains high. Carter Friesen in the middle of the pack, just like a few of the other guys we've highlighted so far. Friesen working 2 top 10s this season, 10th place in points. A good place in points, but obviously looking for the victory. Trying to work his way up the field. Now let's take a look at Andy Quinn. Now he isn't running too well this race, but he had a pretty notable finish last race at Twin Ring. Finished 10th, which was a big contrast to what he ran in those first 2 races. That put him pretty deep in the standings. That helped him gain a few spots. Now trying to see what a good finish today would do, but so far it's looking a little bit grim for the 96 truck. So they're running in the 20s at the moment. Robbie Bell also had a notable finish at Twin Ring, finished 7th place. That helped him gain from around 30th place to go up 20th. He ended up gaining 10 spots as a result of his finish. And in the early parts of the season, these standings are going to be pretty condensed due to not many points being given out so far. Trevor Nix also had a very good finish as he finished just a spot ahead of him. 6th place at Twin Ring and also gained quite a few spots in standings, but still behind Bell as it relates to that. So yeah, a good day can really bring guys up in standings. A bad day will drop you right back. How about the day that Steven Schaff is having? He was the top qualifying part-timer in the race. Still in the 3rd position as he qualified in. He attempted to qualify for Twin Ring and did not qualify. This race he was able to make it in. And now he's just putting together a really nice performance. And so is Andrew Gorman up here in the top 10. This is his first attempt at qualifying for a race and he's able to make it. Trying to find his way around Jason Langley for 6th place. But the field continues to run pretty single file, and we should see pit stops coming up here very quickly, and it might happen this lap even. As we take a look at Daniel Boyles, who's having a nice day considering how poorly he's been running in these first few races. And now we see trucks are coming down the pit lane. This will be the lone pit stop of the race right here. And Dalton Wise is going to be the first one to lead them on. Jim Fowler stays out for now. So does Josh McCoy and Steven Schaff. Wise was running in 4th place at the time. He brings Langley and Seitzer down with him. And it's going to be 4 tires for everyone as the sides have kind of worn off as they've gone throughout these first few laps. And now we're going to see the rest of the field come down. Fowler and McCoy lead everyone that hasn't pitted yet onto pit lane. Although it does look like one straggler is on the track right now, and that is Recency, the 69 truck. Had a solid 3rd place run last week, which really surprised everybody. Taking that Pick Sensi Racing Chevrolet to the top part of the field. And now he's going to see if he can defect from the rest of the team's strategy and maybe make something work out of it. And we should see him come down the pit lane this time around. And that will give us an opportunity to head to a quick commercial break so we can take you to the end of this race at Trenton.
When your battery's running low, grab a sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy. It'll get you back to 100% fast. Five-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%.
We return to NFRN Truck Series Racing at Trenton But it appears that Jim Fowler is not going to have the advantage after pit stops. It looks like it's going to belong to Dalton Wise, who's currently listed second on the board with the 69 on top, but that's because recency came down late and isn't ahead of Wise at the moment. At this point, the 77 should have passed him up and is going to take the lead with 7 laps to go. But Jim Fowler nowhere to be seen after coming down the lap after. And that definitely can't be attributed to tire wear, which obviously has a bit of fall off. As Adam Kuhn comes back down pit lane, he's got a problem on the race truck. And this is a big disaster for the 19, having to make a second stop. Let's see what happened. And it looked like it might have happened on pit lane. It starts off with Justin Lisenby coming off, and Kuhn making contact, and a bigger hit with Keith Young is going to really crunch up his truck. And that is huge for the 19, as he is once again going to struggle and have a terrible finish here and fall even further in the standings. Lisenby probably got the least amount of damage in the contact, but who knows if that's actually impacting the race truck, as it seems like McComb actually might come up a little quick on him. And Keith Young probably has a big dent in the side. That'd be the right side that we can't see on board Billy Thompson. But that grassroots team really needs a break, and it seems like they're getting into a lot of accidents lately. But that hardly explains why the 72 truck is nowhere to be seen after leading the entire first part of this race. And we believe we found him now, but he's currently running in the 16th spot. A total loss of 15 places after pit stops. And it appears that he's actually about to be lapped at this point. That's how far back the 72 has fallen. In fact, we've got a multitude of cars that have fallen a lap down at this point, or at risk. And at this point, it seems like it's down to a 2-truck battle between Dalton Wise and Jason Langley, with Wise having a pretty wide advantage, but we'll see if Langley's able to pull anything off. And also, the part-timers got shuffled up a little bit. Steven Schaff and Andrew Gorman had been dominating. Suddenly, Isaac Nichols and Diego Yepes out of nowhere. 6th and 9th place, respectively. Nichols making his first start in his second attempt. Yepes in his first attempt. In fact, I believe every part-timer is making their first start in this race today. Those that qualified. And Yepes is already looking inside of the 07 truck to gain that spot. And Ascension is also coming up really hot as he gets to the inside 25. And Ascension is going to get inside both of those trucks. And Yepes is now up there in the top 10. He moves by Nichols for 6th place, and Ascension gets past both of them for 7th. I believe those trucks might have been on the second pit stop, which means they might have just a touch fresher tires than the other guys do. Now we see Adam Kuhn has come back on the racetrack without his hood, but he's 5 laps down at this point, and he is really going to have a bad day here today, as he's pretty much going to be last place. Tyler Reed also really struggling after the pit stops, trying to fight for every position that he can, but he's in the very far back of the field and trying to fight for everything he's got, as it seems like 31's starting to slow down. White flag flying right here. Dalton Wise continues to have the advantage on Jason Langley. The 68's going to only have a few more opportunities to try to make a move, and we'll see if lap traffic has anything to say about it. The 71 is the next truck up. He was running as high as 3rd earlier on in the race. But it seems at this point that he's about to be lapped. He's not able to pull something off quickly. And Jason Langley is not going to have an answer for the 77 as Wise makes the move to the inside of Schaff. Coming down the front stretch. The checkered flag is going to wave, and Dalton Wise is going to take the victory here today at Trenton. No idea how the pit stops played out the way that they did. but it obviously had the advantage for Dalton Wise, our 4th different winner in 4 races so far this season. And that's going to claim another playoff berth as we hit the midway point of the regular season. Those playoff spots going away very quickly. People got to be watching out. Today's official results will tell the tale of the tape as Dalton Wise grabs the victory today and Jason Langley comes up just a bit short. But obviously a great run for drivers that probably didn't think they had an opportunity to win this race or at least contend at the end. Benny Sicer also with a great run for someone who's really running far back in points. Clint McComb backs up his win with a top 5 finish. Essentia has a great day after a race at his native track that looked like he was going to do great. Ended in a pretty disastrous fashion. Diego Yepes, Brandon Figueroa, 2 part-timers getting top 10s in their debut runs. I'm not sure how this happened, but Derek Anderline, after crashing on lap number 9, takes his truck back all the way to 13th place. A great run by the 2016 to rebound from that accident. Jim Fowler, who led the entire first part of this race, ends up in 14th after pit stops. Gained a few spots back from where we saw him. Emerson Sims had a solid day, but not the one he wanted in 19th. Josh McCoy also in 20th. Steven Schaff got lapped up late in the going. 21st place for him, the first car lapped down. A couple of winners down here got lapped. Mike Simpson, Barry Watson. The points leader coming in, Tyler Reed, finished all the way down in 35th place. We talked about him trying to find positions. And Justin Lisenby all the way back 39th. Might have had something to do with the contact made with Adam Kuhn. Who's going to end up all the way down in 42nd position, 5 laps down. We look at the standings after race number 4, and Clint McComb going to take the points lead. Not surprising after getting into the top 10 last race, and then putting up a top 5 performance here today. And also, guys like Josh McCoy and Tyler Reed struggling to find positions is going to help out with that. Dalton Wise's win gets him into 3rd place, and Mike Simpson, Barry Watson staying in the top 10 as well. And Kevin Knight falling all the way back to 11th place. He had a poor day today as well after being 2nd coming in. Carter Friesen and Adam Kuhn going to both fall on the outside of the cutoff line to qualify for the next Amateur Cup Series race. James Smith going to find his way back into it. Benny Seitzer's 3rd place run is going to put him 22nd on the standing board, and Jason Langley pulls up to 26th place after coming runner-up. Fowler continues to be 27th after he fell off from the lead. And then here are the final full-timers in the standings, as none of the part-timers currently in the top 40 in standings. Trevor Nix falls back to 31st place. Keith Young still 34th after the contact on pit road. And Emerson Sims continues to be the last place in full-time standings, despite a 19th place run today. We saw the standings. Let's take a look at the playoff picture. Clint McComb, Dalton Wise, Mike Simpson, Barry Watson currently all top 10 in the points, looking like they blocked themselves into the playoffs. Looking at the cutoff line, though, you got Josh McCoy, Ross Kispin, Steve Ray, Tyler Reed currently above the cutoff in the top 8 of the standings. Hunter Cox, Taylor LePeg just outside of it. No one's name in green yet because no open spots have been guaranteed. So drivers that are looking to get into the playoffs, they might want to get their win very soon. Taking a look at the team standings, not surprisingly, Ramco Motorsports at the top of the board with Clint McComb leading standings. Eagle Motorsport with Hunter Cox 22 points behind that, and Thunderhawk Motorsports 29 points behind with the lone driver James Smith. And before we head out, we take a look at the cars that the Truck Series drivers will race in the Amateur Cup Series, trying to qualify for Pig's Speed Dome next week. Clint McComb piloting the 54, have we seen him in before? Dalton Wise in the 92, and I believe this will be his first attempt at qualifying for Amateur Cup Series. Tyler Reed has normally piloted that 92 ride. He'll be the 26 for next week. Billy Thompson will be in the number 2, as I believe this is his first attempt at qualifying. James Smith will pilot the number 20. And that's going to do it from Trenton Fairgrounds Raceway. Congratulations to Dalton Wise on his first career victory and locking himself into the playoffs. We hope you enjoyed NFRN racing action here today, and we hope to see you next week for the races at Pig's Speed Dome and Calder Park. Our next Truck Series broadcast will take place at Oswego as we head to the dirt tracks.